Before we crack open tonight's cursed can of content, I just want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers, and an extra Sinister shout out to the loyal members of the Sinister Elite. You legends help keep the darkness alive. If you're enjoying the stories and want to take it a step further, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and consider joining the Sinister Elite by clicking that join button below. Members get access to creepy custom emojis and exclusive Sinister Elite badges that level up the longer you survive with us. It's like loyalty, but spookier. All right, lights off, headphones in, and let's summon something we'll all regret. I walked in on a Tuesday night wearing a shirt that still had mustard stains from a cookout last summer. The manager, a woman named Brenda with an arm tattoo that said, "Hold my grits," looked me up and down and said, "You breathe? Cool. You're hired." That was it. No interview, no drug test, not even a "what's your name?" Just tossed me an apron that smelled like cigarettes and old syrup and pointed toward the back. My shift? Midnight to 8 a.m. My title? Officially? Server. Unofficially? Chaos Sponge. Brenda introduced me to the cook, Dwight. He looked like a mechanic who moonlighted as a bass player in a cover band. Greasy ponytail, missing a tooth, permanent scowl. First thing he said to me was, "Don't touch the waffle irons with bare hands. They bite." I laughed. He didn't. The night went about how you'd expect. A group of college kids came in, all wearing togas and demanding chocolate milk like they were gods of calcium. A trucker named Hank fell asleep face down in a plate of grits and snored so hard the jelly packets vibrated. Some woman ordered a burger, a side of bacon, and then asked if I'd baptize her baby in sweet tea. I said no. I'm not certified for that. Around 3 a.m., things got quieter. Dwight leaned against the counter, sipping a cup of black coffee that smelled like motor oil and regret. He was staring at the clock like it owed him money. Then he slid a small folded paper across the counter toward me. It looked like a receipt at first. Then I saw it was written in smudged pencil, the kind of handwriting you'd expect from a serial killer or a grandpa who refuses to wear glasses. Night shift rules. Read these if you like being alive. If a man in a white suit enters and asks for black coffee, serve it fast and do not blink while he drinks. The jukebox will play "Free Bird" at 3:07 a.m. No one selected it. Do not react. If a customer comes in soaking wet but it hasn't rained in days, seat them at table 6 and bring them a towel. Do not ask where they came from. You may hear crying from the bathroom after 2:15 a.m. Do not open the door. It isn't locked, but it needs to stay shut. If the waffles start to bleed, unplug the iron and walk outside until you hear the screaming stop. I laughed again, thinking, nice, hazing the new guy. Classic. I looked up at Dwight, expecting a smirk. He just sipped his coffee and said, "You'll see." And right then, the jukebox clicked on. Nobody had touched it. Nobody was even near it. And sure as hell, Free Bird started playing. I stood there with my mouth half open, slowly turning toward Dwight like I just farted in church. He didn't even flinch, just kept sipping. I chuckled nervously. "Okay, that's weird timing." He replied, dead serious, "If you cry while it plays, it smells you." That shut me up. The rest of the shift was uneventful, unless you count the 4 a.m. man who asked for eggs, devil side down, and left a tip in Confederate money. By morning, Brenda returned wearing sunglasses and carrying a can of Monster. She nodded at me like she'd just survived Nam. "You didn't die," she said. "Good start." I clocked out, got in my truck, and drove home while Free Bird kept echoing in my head. I told myself it was just a joke. But that night, when I came back in for my second shift, the man in the white suit walked through the door. At 12:43 a.m., the bell above the front door jingled. In walked the cleanest man I've ever seen. Crisp white 3-piece suit, polished shoes, slick hair like he just stepped out of a shampoo commercial for demons. No car pulled in, no footsteps outside. He just appeared. He looked around the Waffle House like he'd seen it 100 times. His eyes locked on me, "Black coffee," he said. "Quickly." I froze. This was rule number 1. If a man in a white suit enters and asks for black coffee, serve it fast and do not blink while he drinks. Dwight looked up from the grill and gave me a hard, slow shake of the head. I slapped a fresh cup on the counter and grabbed the pot, nearly dropping it. My hand was shaking like I was holding in a sneeze and a fart at the same time. I poured. Steam rose. The man never broke eye contact. He took the cup with both hands, brought it to his lips, and drank. I stared, and I blinked. It wasn't on purpose. My eye twitched. I blinked once, just once. And in that half second, the man in white was suddenly closer. At the bar now, not the booth. He was sipping the coffee and grinning at me like he knew I'd just made the worst mistake of my life. "You blinked," he said, voice smooth as melted butter. Allergies?" I offered. He chuckled, but there was no joy in it. He set the mug down. Empty. "See you again soon." Then he was gone. No footsteps, no doorbell. Just gone. I turned to Dwight. "You said don't blink. What happens if you blink?" Dwight muttered. "He sees in." "Sees in what?" "You." Okay, that's when I decided I hated this job. The rest of the shift was off. Every reflective surface, windows, syrup bottles, even the glossy part of the waffle menu, kept showing me stuff that wasn't there. A second me, behind me. Faces pressed up against the glass. A glimpse of my own reflection whispering something I couldn't hear. At one point, the fryers shut off on their own and scrawled hello into the grease. I walked outside to get air and lit a cigarette. Something cold touched my neck. I turned fast. Nothing. But my breath fogged, and it was 70 degrees. I came back inside and told Dwight, "I think I'm hallucinating." He didn't look up. "You blinked." By 7:45 a.m., I was pacing. I didn't want to wait for Brenda. I just wanted to clock out, go home and soak my eyeballs in bleach. Then I saw it. On the counter next to the register, the rules list had a new line at the bottom. 6. If you blink while he drinks, don't fall asleep. Ever. I hadn't written that. Neither had Dwight. I showed it to him. He just said, "You should get a lot of coffee on your break. You're not going to want to close your eyes. Not ever again." I tried to go home after that shift, I really did. Parked my truck, walked to my front door, fumbled my keys, then stopped. Because my reflection in the glass wasn't moving right. It blinked when I didn't. I slept in the cab of my truck that morning, parked behind a Walgreens, door locked, eyes wide open. Drank 4 Monster Energies and 2 gas station cappuccinos. By 5 p.m., my hands were vibrating like tuning forks, and I'd peed 14 times. That night, back at Waffle House, Dwight slid me a black coffee without saying a word. We didn't talk about the man in white, didn't talk about the new rule. We just worked, or pretended to. Around 2 a.m., the lights flickered and Dwight stiffened. "Next one's coming," he muttered. And right on cue, at 2:11 a.m., a woman walked in soaking wet. Not like drizzle wet. I'm talking pulled from the depths of a muck pond wet. Hair slicked to her face, water dripping from her sleeves, her shoes squishing with each step. But it hadn't rained in over a week. No puddles outside, no storms forecasted. She just walked in like it was normal. Dwight nodded toward me. "Table 6. I remembered rule number 3. If a customer comes in soaking wet, but it hasn't rained in days, seat them at table 6 and bring them a towel. Do not ask where they came from." I tried to smile as I led her over. She didn't say a word. Just sat down, placed both hands flat on the table, and stared at me. I grabbed a towel from the back, slightly damp from whatever mystery juice Brenda had spilled on it during her Margarita Tuesday. I handed it to the woman. She didn't dry off. She pressed it flat across the table like a tablecloth, never breaking eye contact. Then she whispered, "It's cold beneath." I said nothing. She leaned forward, pupils huge. "They're still climbing." At this point, I wanted to nuke the building from orbit. I backed away slowly and told Dwight, "Hey man, she's saying cryptic nonsense." He shrugged. "Better than the ones that sing. Cool. Totally normal." At 2:16, she stood up, soaking wet still, towel untouched. She whispered something to the air, then walked straight through the wall. Not out the door. Through. The wall. A puddle remained. Table 6 was gone. Not broken. Not lifted. Just missing. As if it had never been there. Dwight scribbled something on the rules paper. I leaned in. 7. Mop up puddles. No matter what. We mopped. The jukebox started to whine. I checked the time. 2:57 a.m. That meant Freebird was up next. I braced myself. Dwight dimmed the lights and muttered, "Don't cry. No matter what it shows you." I didn't know what he meant until the song started, and I saw someone sitting at the counter. Me. But not me. Same clothes. Same posture. But the eyes were gone. Just black voids. He smiled at me, wide and slow. Then he whispered, "Blink again." I clenched my eyes shut and whispered every prayer I knew, including the lyrics to Sweet Caroline. When I opened my eyes again, the stool was empty. Dwight handed me a waffle. "Here, eat. It keeps you grounded." I asked, "Is this normal?" He nodded. "It's Waffle House." By my 4th shift, I'd consumed enough coffee to qualify for a heart transplant. My hands trembled like I was playing Jenga in an earthquake. I'd stopped blinking. Seriously, I was using eye drops every 15 minutes like they were holy water. At this point, I'd seen ghosts, doppelgangers, a table vanish, and I'm pretty sure Dwight is some kind of immortal short-order sorcerer. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the bathroom incident. It started slow. Around 2:10 a.m., the lights dimmed just slightly, enough to make the ketchup bottles look sinister. I was wiping down a syrupy booth when I heard it, crying. Soft at first, like a little girl. But it built, more desperate, more human, more wrong. It came from the women's bathroom. I froze. Then I remembered rule number 4. You may hear crying from the bathroom after 2:15 a.m. Do not open the door. It isn't locked, but it needs to stay shut. I checked the clock. 2:14. It was early. "Dwight," I said, voice cracking like my sanity. He didn't turn. "It's testing you early. Don't touch that door." The crying grew louder. Guttural sobs now. I could hear something wet slapping against the tile inside. It wasn't crying anymore. It was pleading. Then came the voice. "Help me. Please. Please. My baby's in here. She's drowning." It sounded real. Too real. I took a step toward the door. Dwight shouted, "Don't you dare open it!" The crying stopped. Just like that. Gone. Total silence. I backed away. My hands were shaking, but I felt proud. I hadn't opened it. I followed the rule. Then the door started to bulge. Yeah. Bulge. The wood bowed outward, pulsing like something inside was breathing. Long, deep inhales. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, even knocks. And from the other side came my own voice whispering, "You already broke rule 1. I ran to the kitchen. Dwight handed me a slice of bacon like it was a holy relic. Chew. Deep-fried pork helps with auditory hallucinations. I was halfway through the slice when we heard it, scraping, inside the walls. A slow, dragging sound circling the diner. Something was outside now. Or inside. I didn't know anymore. I checked the clock. 2:59 a.m. Free bird time again. I backed away from the jukebox before it could light up. But instead of playing, it exploded with static. Then, a different voice came through the speakers. My mom's. "Justin, honey, wake up. You're having a bad dream." Except my name isn't Justin. Dwight pulled the cord from the wall. The jukebox kept talking. The voice changed again. "Let me out of the bathroom." "No," I whispered. The lights flickered. The air turned cold. And then, slam. The bathroom door burst open on its own. Nothing was inside. Just wet footprints. And something written on the mirror in steam. "You're next." Dwight handed me a pen. "Write down Rule 8. I did. 8. If the bathroom door opens by itself, don't clean the mirror. Don't look in it. Just wait. I asked, "Wait for what?" He shrugged. "Whatever happens next." The bathroom stayed open the rest of the night. No customers used it. Can't blame them. It looked like the devil's mouth. The air inside smelled like wet pennies and burnt hair. I avoided eye contact with the mirror, just like Rule 8 said, but the mirror didn't return the favor. Every time I walked past that bathroom, I could feel it watching. Like the glass was flexing, bulging slightly, like something behind it was trying to press through. Dwight never acknowledged it. He just kept slapping bacon on the griddle like we weren't one power outage away from being eaten by bathroom ghosts. At 2:33 a.m., I heard the voice again. This time it wasn't crying. It was laughing. A low, distorted chuckle that came from the ceiling vents. Like something old was amused we'd made it this far. I pretended to check the coffee machine just to avoid looking anywhere near the bathroom door. And then the power flicked off. Complete darkness. No lights. No jukebox. Even the flickering neon Waffle House sign out front died. Total. Pitch. Black. "Dwight?" I whispered. He didn't answer. Something brushed past my leg. I bolted for the kitchen and slammed my knee into the fryer. Cold. Thank God it was off. I crawled behind the counter and fished out my phone. The screen lit up for 1 second before going dead. Full battery. Still died. Then the humming started. Low, mechanical, like something charging. And in the dark, red dots appeared. 2 of them. Eye level. Glowing softly. And moving toward me. The man in the white suit stepped into view, outlined in nothing but darkness and red. "You're tired," he said gently. I nodded. I was beyond tired. My mind felt like syrup. My eyes were sandpaper. I hadn't blinked in hours. "Sleep," he whispered. His voice felt warm, like sinking into a hot tub with whiskey in your veins. I almost listened. Then Dwight's voice cut through the dark. "Don't you damn dare!" He struck a match. It flared, orange and angry, and the man in white recoiled, hissing like grease hitting water. In that flash, I saw Dwight's eyes. Bloodshot. Rage-filled. He grabbed a tub of waffle batter and threw it. The man in white screamed, not in pain, in fury. Then he vanished into the dark. Power surged back on. Lights flickered, then steadied. Coffee machine beeped. The rule sheet fluttered to the floor. New ink had appeared. 9. If the lights go out, do not fall asleep. Even for a second. He waits in the dark. I slumped onto the floor. Dwight handed me a warm waffle. "You get one more night," he said. "That's it. Then it's over." I looked at him, desperate. "Over how?" He didn't answer. Just poured himself coffee and stared at the mirror. I didn't go home that morning. I drove past my exit, past the busted truck stop with the possessed vending machine, past the gas station where the pumps scream if you fuel up after midnight. I parked in a church lot and stared at the sunrise, wondering if I'd ever see another one. When I came in for my final shift that night, Dwight was already there, grilling bacon like it was a holy ritual. He didn't say hi. He just nodded. On the counter sat a small wooden box. It was ancient, carved with weird symbols that looked like angry waffles with teeth. I didn't ask about it. I didn't want to know. By 1 a.m., the air felt thick, heavy, like the sky was sitting on the building. I kept seeing shadows move behind booths that hadn't had customers in hours. The mirror in the bathroom was breathing again, slow and foggy, like it was waiting for me to get curious. But I didn't break the rules. At 2:17 a.m., something began to crawl across the ceiling tiles. Long and low. a slick slithering noise like wet meat dragging itself toward the fryer. I kept wiping tables. Dwight didn't flinch. Then at 3:07 a.m., Free Bird played. But this time, it was live. The jukebox didn't light up. Instead, a band appeared in the far booth. 4 figures, skin pale and stretched, eyes black and glossy like overcooked eggs. They strummed ghostly guitars and sang off-key, but powerfully. Their music throbbed through the floor. Customers began to enter, one by one, silent, pale, dripping. The soaking wet woman came back, towel still folded. The man in the white suit reappeared and sat at the counter. And worst of all, I walked in. A second me. No apron, just a smirk, and dead eyes. Dwight looked at me. "It's your turn," he said. "You either face it or feed it." I didn't understand until the box on the counter rattled. He nodded toward it. I opened it. Inside was a small stack of paper. All of them were handwritten. All of them said rules. Hundreds of them. Some scratched out, some bloody. Some looked like they were written on skin. And one had my name. If your name makes it to the 6th night, he gets to choose. Write new rules. Or become one. I looked up. The second me was gone. Only the mirror remained. Dwight handed me a pen. "You've seen what happens. You've followed them. You've broken some. You survived. Barely. Now it's your turn to decide." I held the pen in my hand for what felt like hours. Then I wrote, "Rule 10. If the man reading these rules survives all 6 nights, he must bury this list deep beneath the fryer and never speak of what happened." I placed it in the box. The jukebox stopped. The customers vanished. Dwight smiled for the first time. Good choice. He walked out the door and never came back. It's been a month since then. I still work the night shift, but now the rules are different, simpler. There are only 2. 1. Don't open the box. 2. If someone hands you a list, burn it. Just don't forget. It's Waffle House. Things get weird after midnight.